Welcome to Padre Podcast, a place where I share what is in my heart and mind because I am a forever student and I plan to graduate in heaven, and I hope you do too. This is episode number 1. Yes. What's going on? You may be wondering. Father Jose has a podcast. Well, something happened this Christmas. Somebody gifted me with a microphone. Man, don't give me a microphone, please. But, yeah, I got a microphone. It's nothing fancy, but hey, whatever. We're going to use it for the Lord, right? So, many blessings on everybody on this 2024. And as you know, I just came back from visiting the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. This is something that I've been meaning to do for myself for the longest time, and I've been looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I've been to the Bible Museum couple times before, but each time I was a chaperone, so you can't really focus too much on the things that you want to see when you have to take care of other people. This time I just wanted to have 2 full days to myself and the Bible, and that's my happy place. So thank you to everybody who has been praying for me and for my safety and my return. I'm back home. And so in this episode, I would like to share with you my experience. Very short. I just want to explain one item. Now, the Museum of the Bible has 6 floors and a basement. So we're talking about 7 floors. And I took 2 days to visit it. I was bright and shining, 9 in the morning. Actually, like a couple minutes before the doors open. I am a member of the museum, so I can go early because normal hours are at 10 a.m. And I would be kicked out by 5 o'clock. I could not get enough of the museum. I was so excited. And then on the second day, same story. 2 minutes before opening, I was right there until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I had to take the metro to go to the airport and then come back to Michigan. So I was able to visit all the floors. On the first day, I was able to visit the 2 floors that are most important to me, especially the one that talks about the history of the biblical text, the ancient manuscripts. And then on the second day, I was able to catch up with all the other expositions because there are many exhibits in the museum. So it was just fascinating. The museum was packed, a lot of people, a lot of families. That was really cool to see. Many Christian families with their kids. You could tell that people were tired. I mean, because people normally are not Bible nerds that only go to the Museum of the Bible. They probably have seen several other museums when they go to Washington, D.C. And the Bible Museum happens to be one of them. Well, I gave myself the luxury of visiting only this museum, and it was just amazing. So, in visiting the museum, I was able to see an old friend. And you may be wondering, who is Father Jose's old friend? And Father Jose's old friend is Papyrus 39. Papyrus 39. And this is an old friend because I came across this manuscript, which is a 3rd century manuscript, most likely between 200 and 250 AD, of the Gospel of John, chapter 8. Written on papyrus. In Greek, it's written on both sides. It was part of a large manuscript. That means it was a book, a codex. It was large. It was bigger size. Not like a regular Bible, but like a large Bible. And it was found in Oxyrhynchus in Egypt, which was basically a trash dump. And many of these ancient old papers were going to be burnt until they were discovered, and among them some very impressive biblical manuscripts were found, and one of them being Papyrus 39. It's about this. It's like the shape of a bookmark, and it contains a portion of a page written on both sides, and I happen to have a copy of that manuscript in my Bible Museum here in Bay City, Michigan. And why do I say this is an old friend? Because back when I was a student of scripture in Rome, In 2012, there was an exhibit that came to the Vatican. It was called Verbum Domini. At that time, the Green family, who are the owners of Hobby Lobby, they had acquired a very large collection of biblical manuscripts. And as they compiled that collection, they were giving some tours of their collection to groups. They organized some public exhibits here in the United States. It was called Passages. And then there was this traveling exhibit going to other countries such as Cuba and also to the Vatican. That was called Verbum Domini. And so Pope Benedict XVI allowed them to display 150 manuscripts in the Braccio di Carlomagno, which is the left side of the Vatican as you see the colonnade. It was my last semester in Rome when I was studying there. So you can imagine that when that collection came, I was so excited. I was able to get some passes to get into the early displays by the curators of this particular collection, the Green collection, and I learned the story of each manuscript, and one of them was this one, was Papyrus 39, and I was fascinated by it. And so I only have one super old, terrible picture of Papyrus 39 among several other papyri, and I was able to retrieve it from my old archives. And here I was this time in DC, right in front of Papyrus 39 once again, 11 years later. I was just blown away by it. When I started collecting my own Bible museum, I also got a copy, a handwritten copy. It's like it's not really a facsimile, but it's a handmade look-alike copy of Papyrus 39. And I display it in my museum. So I was able to see this old friend once again and to read it and to see how legible it is, even though it was written 1800 years ago. Unbelievable. And even though it was written so long ago, you can see the letters. They were large letters. And I just cannot wait to meet the scribe who wrote this papyrus. I'm going to read what the text says, because this is chapter 8 of the Gospel of John. I'm going to start a little early and going a little bit farther. This is a controversy between Jesus and the authorities of Jerusalem. Jesus says, "Even in your own law it is written that the testimony of two men can be verified. I testify on my behalf, and so does the Father who sent me." So they said to him, "Where is your Father?" And Jesus answered, "You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you will know my Father also." He spoke these words while teaching in the treasury in the temple area. But no one arrested him because his hour had not yet come. He said to them again, "I am going away, and you will look for me, but you will die in your sin. Where I am going, you cannot come." So the Jews said, "He's not going to kill himself, is he? Because he said, 'Where I am going, you cannot come.'" He said to them, "You belong to what is below. I belong to what is above. You belong to this world, but I do not belong to this world. This is why I told you that you will die in your sins. For if you do not believe that I am, you will die in your sins." And then the passage continues. So Papyrus 39 contains a large portion of the text that I just read to you. Now, why is Papyrus 39 so significant? Well, first of all, because it competes with another ancient papyrus, Papyrus 75, which also has in its contents the Gospel of John, especially the first 15 chapters of the Gospel of John. And it also has, I understand, the Gospel of Luke as well. And so, yes, chapters 3 to the 24 of the Gospel of Luke. And so, Papyrus 39, it's like the second oldest manuscript that has come to us, even though fragmentary, of the Gospel of John, competing with Papyrus 75. And then together they also compete with Papyrus 66, which is the oldest complete copy of the entire Gospel of John, or almost complete copy of the Gospel of John, Papyrus 66. You may be saying, Father, you're throwing all these numbers at us. What does that mean? Well, basically it means that in the New Testament we have about 5,800 manuscripts in Greek. We're talking about from the 2nd century all the way to about the 6th century. So this means that the New Testament was copied widely by the early Christians of the first centuries, so that we have so many copies. Now, among those 5,800 manuscripts, about 130, 140 were written on papyrus, and they are the oldest ones. That means that they go back to the very early stages of Christianity, especially during the times of persecution into the times of legalization of Christianity. If you do a very quick Google search, especially on Wikipedia, I know some of you are like, Father, are you recommending Wikipedia? Actually, Wikipedia has a very good list of all the New Testament papyrus. So if you look on Wikipedia, New Testament papyrus or papyri, you will see them numbered, and it will tell you where each papyrus is, what they contain, meaning what part of the scripture they contain, and what is the significance of each of the papyrus. So we're talking about the oldest copies of the New Testament that have survived. And so here I was at the Museum of the Bible, standing right in front of one of those oldest copies. Wow. So that was my old friend Papyrus 39, and I was just so excited to see it, and just kept looking at it, and people kind of looked at me funny walking around, like saying, you have 10,000 more Bibles to look around here, and you're just looking at a piece of old papyrus that is all torn. And I'm like, well, because probably you don't know the significance of this particular manuscript. This is why I love it, because this was part of one of the most ancient copies of the Gospel of John. What circumstances did the author of that particular copy had to go through in order to write about this Jesus who came to earth as the one who pitched his tent among us, Word that became flesh to save us? What did this biblical author go through? And remember, this is a copy. We're not even talking about the actual John that wrote the first manuscript, which we don't have. This is as best as you can get, as close as you can get to the original manuscripts of the Bible. So, yes, my best friends have been dead for hundreds of years, and I cannot wait to meet them in the kingdom. So, if the author of Papyrus 39 is listening to me from heaven, can't wait to meet you, bro. God bless you, and you have a wonderful year 2024.